True faith in God always expresses itself in action. This is the principle that we find in James 2:14 to 17, which reads, "What good is it, my brothers, if a man claims to have faith but have no deeds? Can such faith save him? Faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead." Hebrews 11, verse 4, by faith Abel offered God a better sacrifice than Cain. When we read this verse, two questions arise in our minds. One, does God care about how you give to Him? Two, is there a right way and a wrong way to give to God? Based on the account of Cain and Abel, the answer to both of these questions is yes. Yes, God does care about them. So, what was the difference in their offerings? What made God pleased with Abel's? The answer is found in Genesis chapter 4, verse 4, where we learn that Abel gave God the first portion. We read in Genesis 4:4, Abel brought fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. In other words, Abel gave God the first portion from his flock. What about Cain? Did he give the first fruits from his harvest? Verse 3 simply says, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil. Genesis 4:3. The word first fruit is conspicuous by its absence, especially when you compare it with Abel, who brought God the firstborn from his flocks. So I believe that's the answer to our first question. Why did Abel offer a better sacrifice than Cain did? Because Abel gave God the first portion, whereas Cain did not. What does it mean to give God the first portion? Because the first portion belongs to God, by presenting the first portion is a way of acknowledging God's ownership of all the rest. Deuteronomy 18:4 says, "You are to give the first fruits of your grain, new wine, and oil, and the first wool from shearing of your sheep." So, what does it mean to give God the first portion? It means giving God your first and your best, not the leftovers. We read in Exodus 23:19, "Bring the best of the first fruits of your soil to the house of the Lord your God." Why the best? Because what you bring to God reflects what you think of God, and God deserves the very best. Abel brought fat portions, some of the firstborn of his flock. The fat portions were the best part. Giving God the first portion means, first of all, giving God your first and your best. Then comes the question, how does giving God the first portion demonstrate your faith? The Bible teaches us that giving God is part of your worship. Proverbs 3:9 to 10. Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine. Giving to God is a matter of honor and worship. By giving the first portion, you are trusting God's word concerning things you do not see, and that is faith. Hence, it's your faith that pleases God. Abel was commended as a righteous man, not for his offering, but for his faith which produced the offering. Are you willing to give God the first portion of your time of the day, life, and all that you have? Are you willing to give God your first and the best? Be blessed.